Hi everyone. So last class we were discussing about the new map, and we have seen one of the business scenario creating a employee record automatically whenever the user is created in the Salesforce. And we have understood the difference between the new and new map. Okay, so today we'll start with the one business scenario. Like yesterday I was giving one scenario, right? Like whenever the user is updated here, the patient email details. For example, if the patient email has a no at the rate some email.com, if user has this information. Okay, so if the user has this information, no at the rate email.com, then it should allow the user to enter the new email. But if it is not, the patient name is not no at the rate email. For example, it has a different information. Let's take another one. So let's take P10. So if apart from the new no at the rate email, if there is any, like here it is a P10 at the rate AA.com. And if user is trying to update this to something else, okay, it should throw an error saying that you cannot update this because there is already valid email address is there. So that is the scenario which I was explaining in the paint, if you remember this. Okay, so let's go ahead and implement the logic. File, new, let's take the apex trigger, tr underscore, today's date 0807. 0807, let's say that this is the patient email address. Update patient email, right? So we are planning to implement it on the patient object. What is the object? We have patient object. Right click on the submit. So what are we doing here? What is the event that is going to occur here? Already record is existed, right? Record is already there. I'm just updating the existing value to the new value. Right before it save into the database, I wanted to validate this email address and compare the previous email ID, whether it is a no at the rate email.com or a different one. If it is a no at the rate email.com, then user should get updated. But if it is not no at the rate email.com, then it should receive an email. So that means before saving into the database, I wanted to do the validation. So here the event will be the before update. Before update. So what are the data that I need? The latest information I need. So which is patient underscore C. This is a new patient information. Right. So from where will I get it? New patient information. I can take it from the trigger dot new. And also I wanted to capture the old information. What was the old information that was had? Underscore C, old patient. So from where will I get the old patient details? From trigger.old. Okay. Now the logic, for the logic, let me implement the class. New apex class CL helper, the same name I'm giving it, including the helper. Okay. So here the logic is inside this, let's add the static method public static void. What are we doing? Update email address. Right. So what is the data that I need here? I need a old information. I need a latest information. So it is expected list patient underscore C new patient, comma, also I need old details. List patient underscore C, old patient. So these are the data that I needed. So let's save this. Okay, now the first thing what I need to do, I need to look through the new patient details because we are going to update it. So for the looping, I'll take the for loop patient underscore C. Let's take this is NP, right? And also now I'm looping through the new patient. Now in the new patient, whatever the data comes in, I have to cross verify with the old data because I'm verifying what was the old data that was already existing in the record. So that means I need to loop through the old one also. Now we can modify this, we will see that later. So this is old patient details. But first let's understand the concept, then we can modify this. Now I have the new information and I have the old information. Both are I'm looping it. Now here, when it reached the patient details as, what is the patient detail that I have? Let's assume that P10, okay? When the P10 is reached here, there could be a multiple patients on the old patient because this old patient details will be, many will be there. So when I'm cross verifying the P10 information, I wanted to check only P10 old information. Right? For that, what I'll do is I'll add the condition here, np.id. If my ID, whatever the ID is there, which I'm cross verifying it, first check whether the old patient ID. If both the IDs are matching, here I'm in P10 and here it looked through the all the 10 records or 20 records. But as soon as it come here P10, it find it, okay, this is the correct ID which we are trying to update it or modifying it. So that's what I'm cross verifying the ID here. Now next thing what I wanted to check, I wanted to check the old patient email ID. I wanted to check whether old patient email ID, if it is not equal to no@email. If it is not equal to no@email, then only go inside the logic. Okay, my first condition is I'm matching the ID with the new and old, as well as I'm checking whether the old patient does not have the no@email.com. So then what I wanted to check, I wanted to check whether the old and new email both are same or different. I can do the if condition here as well, but that should be fine. So np new patient dot new patient email address is not equal to old patient email address. That means it is really modified. Somebody did that. So let's add these two if conditions here. Try to waste unnecessary. Okay. So what are the conditions that I have? One is ID matching. And second one, I'm checking the patient email is not equal to no@email. Which patient? Old patient data is not equal to no@email. And did it really change the value? That means what are my old patient is there, which is not matching with the new patient. That means they have really changed it. If everything goes fine, then I wanted to update the, like if they are trying to make changes, right? If they are trying to make changes, then I wanted to show a message on the trigger saying that you cannot edit or you cannot modify, because that is a valid one, valid email. So how can I do it? I can do it on the patient email dot add error. So add error will automatically throw an error on the page. So you can say that email cannot be modified. Perfect. Okay. So when I'm trying to change it, I wanted to throw an error message to user. You cannot change the valid email address. Control save. Now let's call this helper in the trigger. So what is the data that I need to pass? New patient details and old patient details. Fine. Okay. Now just make sure that there are no other triggers active on the patient email. Patient object. Let's go to the object. Patient. Let's see triggers. How many triggers are there? Okay, that's good. I have only one trigger, which we have written today. Okay, so now let's refresh this. Our trigger is active, which we have written on the before update. So now the old value is p10@gmail.com. And if I try to update this to 111 and let's save it. So what happened? It says that it is throwing me an error saying that email cannot be modified. Whatever I have added in the trigger, the same thing it is showing below the field. Why it is showing below the field? Because I added the error on particular field. If you say np.add error, so what will happen? It will show it on the page. It will not show it on the field. But if we want specific to be filled on the field, I wanted to show the error, then we can mention that. But if I take in no@email.com and if I try to update some other value, let's say that, okay, so it is going to allow me because it was having the previous value is no@email.com. So when the value is before no@email.com, if it is a value before the no, before value is no@email.com, then there is no error, which is, it's not going to throw an error because it is going to allow me to update. So this is the logic which we have written. Okay. So let's assume that, okay, now I want a specific user to have access because there is some concern which came from the requirement or business saying that it's very hard. It's like throwing an error for every user in case if we wanted to change any patient email. Possible that the patient email, they might have created the new email. So in those scenarios, if they want a specific user to give access to modify this, by default, trigger is going to apply for every user. By default, trigger is going to apply for every user. Whoever is trying to update this patient email, if the value is, previous value is not no@email.com, then it is going to throw an error, right? But let's assume that there is one admin. Okay, T1 is there. Okay, if the person is T1, then I wanted to bypass the validation because I want to give the additional access to T1. That means trigger should not work for that user. Trigger should not work for that user. So that user will have a flexibility to update it. Rest all other admins and whoever is there in the business side, That's fine. You can give me the error whenever we are trying to change on the valid email. But they are going to tell us that just bypass for one user who will have a additional access to that. So do not execute the trigger for one user. So if I wanted to make that kind of a scenario, right? So this is by default, it is active. No matter, it doesn't care who is the user, it doesn't care, right? But in case if I have a requirement to bypass only single user, so what we can do is we can simply cross verify whoever is logged in user, whoever is logged into the Salesforce. First, I wanted to capture the information. Whoever is logged in and trying to modify the information, I wanted to get the user information of that particular user. User info dot get first name. User info dot get first name. So what it will give you? It will give you. So first of all, it goes to the user. User info dot get first name is going to give you the first name of the user. It goes to the user record and it will try to get the first name. Now, if UN not equal to T1, then only allow this logic to execute. That means if the user is not a T1, then execute this logic. But in case if user is T1, that's fine, let them make the changes. So now I have applied it. So let me go ahead and apply this back to the 1111 save. It is going to bypass the logic for me. Right, it is updated. Because we have written to bypass the logic for this user. How I'm getting the user details, user info dot get first name. And if I change back to the @email, whatever I change, it doesn't trigger, it doesn't fire any trigger for me right now. Okay, so this is fine. But in case if the admin person, whoever is having this additional access, they left the company. So somebody new user joined or new member joined. And also by thinking of this scenario, they requested that add few more users to bypass this validation. Now you have to always come to the trigger and make a changes. You have to make changes into the development and you have to push into the production. If they requested multiple users, then you have to check UN not equal to, let's say, couple, or if UN not equal to Dravid. So you have to add multiple users, but this is a very difficult step, right? If tomorrow somebody else, they want the additional access, they wanted to bypass the validation for that user, again, you have to add and push it to the production. So every time the request comes, every time you have to make a changes. Every time you have to make a changes. But if you have a 3-4 users, that's fine. But if they have a 10 users or if they have a 20 users, it is long if condition, right? In this situation, but is this a right way to do this, like exploding like these users? No, it's not a right way to do. It's not a right way to do this. Because if tomorrow they says that 30 members, you cannot do 30 members if condition or this user or this user or this user. 30 members, how can you validate it? And this is not a good practice to do, and this is not a good practice to hard code the user details here, right? So then how should we manage it? Okay, this is fine. We cannot hard code the value. We cannot do 20, 30 members. And tomorrow, if they requested for another user, again you have to develop it. One day wasted because of this code, right? If we wanted make it configurable, then how can we manage it? Is the question comes, or the concept is called as a custom setting. The concept is where the concept comes is custom setting. What is a custom settings? Basically, custom settings are nothing but the normal tables. The way we create an account table, contact table, right? And a patient table, payment table, passenger table, or employee table, whatever we created, it's a normal table, same as that. So you might have to create a table in the custom settings also. They are also a normal table, but whatever the data you enter in the table can be available in Salesforce programming without SQL query. So usually if you create a record in the account table, in order to get the record, you have to write a SQL query in order to pull the data. But whereas in the custom settings, you need not to write a SQL query. You can directly fetch the data. You can directly fetch the data from custom settings. So basically what is the custom setting is, custom settings are Apex table or an object. We can also call it as an object. It's a similar to the object. Custom settings are Apex tables or an object where the data in the tables, is exposed to application page, or we can say cashier, without querying the data. Without querying the data, we can access the data from custom settings directly in Apex program. So custom settings are Apex tables or an object where the data in the tables is exposed to the application page or cashier without querying the data. I need not to write select ID, comma, name, comma, first name, comma, last name, comma, from case or from the account. I need not to write the SQL query. We can directly access the custom setting data into the Apex program. Now, there are two types of custom settings. One is list custom setting, and the second one is hierarchy custom setting. Hierarchy custom settings. There are two types out there. One is list, another one is hierarchy. Now coming to the limitations on the custom settings is maximum 300 fields we can create it per custom setting. Second one, records of the custom record cannot be shared. Like if I create a record in the account, I'll have an option to share the record. But when it comes to the custom settings, once the record is created in the custom settings, then records cannot be shared to the anybody. Next, third one, you cannot change the ownership. You cannot change the ownership of the custom setting, which is not possible. And the last one is custom setting against the total number of custom object available for the organization. So these are the limitations for the custom settings. Now let's go ahead and see the custom setting, how to do that. The first thing where you have to go is go to the data and see for schema settings. So inside the schema setting, you have a two option: enable SOSL on custom setting, manage list custom setting type. So just enable these two. So once you are enabled, just search with the custom code, go to the custom code, and we have a here custom setting, or you can directly search on top. Either you can search custom settings here or go to the platform tools. Inside the custom code, we have something called custom settings. Okay, now let's go ahead and click on new, creating the custom setting. Now, whenever we are creating the custom setting, couple of things which we have to remember. As I mentioned, there are two types of custom settings: list and hierarchy. Okay, if you want to link, if you go to the list, you cannot link to the account, contact, or another custom settings, or those all things is not possible with the list. Hierarchical, we can do that. And here visibility, always take the public, do not take the protected. In case if you have a requirement to take a protected means only you can able to view that custom settings, and only you can able to edit the custom settings, or you can add the records. So only you will be having the access to that particular custom setting if you select the visibility as protected. Now let's take some random right now. So let's say that my product. So object name, my product, and let's save it. This is similar to the custom object. As soon as the object is created, you will see the fields to create it, right? Same thing here. As soon as the object is created, you will see here label, API, type, visibility, and created date, the record size, and the last modified. Everything you will see. Now, same way as an object, we can also create a fields here, but there are limited fields here. Whereas lookup, lookup master detail, or roll-up summary or formula field, those all things we cannot see here. Those all things we cannot see in the custom setting. Very limited data types. Okay, so let's go with the currency. Let's create one field, currency, which is a price. Price, let's take the length as 60 and decimal to price, and click on next. Okay, save. And let's create another field, which is a text field. And that should be a product code. Let's take the length 10. Next and save. Now the fields are done. So in order to create a fields, you have to click on new button and you can click the fields related to these data types. You cannot create a formula field or lookup or master detail or anything. You cannot create it with the list data type. Perfect. So that's how we create the fields. Now the next step is creating the records in the custom setting. So in order to create a record, you have to click on a manage. Click on manage, so that what will happen, it comes to the custom setting my product and click on a new here. So as soon as I click on a new, so it is going to show me the by default name. Like whenever the custom object is created, the name field is automatically created, right? Same thing in the custom settings as well. The name is automatically created. So I need not to create a separate name, and it is a mandatory. So right now, before this, we created the price and product code. That's it, right? So now let me give the information here. Let's say that Lenovo K9, and let's say price is 999, and let's give the product code is, let's say, LK9, right? Now save and create a new. Let's create another one. Samsung Galaxy 8. Let's give the price at 21,000 and it is S8. So let's click on save. Now it takes us back to the this record. Now click on here, back to list. Now I'll come back to the custom setting. Now I have it one custom setting which we created it, right? If I click on my product, it will go to the custom setting names and what are the fields that I have. But if I click on manage, it will take me to the list of records. What are the records that I have? I can view this, right? So also I can create a new view here by adding the different, for example, if I wanted to know price and the product code. So these three are important. So let me create my product. So let's create a my product and let's say visible to me. So I can create my own list view also. So which is going to show me this information, price and product code name. And if I wanted to edit, I can click on edit, or if I wanted to delete it. So these are the records that are created in the custom settings, or this table is created in the custom setting. Now, how can we access these custom settings? What are the places can I access the custom setting? So we can access the custom setting from the multiple places. It could be in an Apex class, it could be in trigger, it could be anonymous window. So let's go to the developer console. Right, so let's open debug. Okay, let's open the anonymous window. So how can I call the custom setting? So first of all, what is my custom setting name? Let's go to the custom setting. The API name is my product underscore underscore. Okay, so whenever we are calling the custom settings, it has to be always inside the map collection, inside the map of string comma custom setting name, right? So this is the product details. Now, how can I get the details? I can directly use my custom setting name dot we have get all. Get all. That means all of the records I'll get it from the custom settings. See, I'm directly connecting to the custom setting from the developer console. just giving the name of the custom setting and the method is get all. Now let's go ahead and print the value system.debug. Now let's print product. Highlight this, execute. Debug. See, it gave all the list, right? It has Lenovo K9, my product, and it gave this is the string. Lenovo K9 is the string, and my product, this is one record, right? It gave me owner ID, name, that's all. And the second string is Samsung Galaxy 8 and equal to whatever the my product Samsung details are there. That means the always custom settings will be in the map string comma custom setting name. But in case if you are just interested to know what are my strings, then you can simply write system dot, let me go ahead and print it, debug product dot key set. Product dot key set. So what will happen? It is going to print only the string values. Highlight this, execute the highlighted one. Okay. So click on debug. See here, Lenovo K9, Samsung Galaxy 8, which are the string values. So where is this string, comma, this is the product information. Again, one more thing, string, comma, product information. Just a second, guys. Sorry. So the another one is Samsung Galaxy 8 and the product details, right? So that's how we are going to call. So what is the structure of getting the custom settings is map of string comma the custom setting name. If I wanted to get all the values, we can get using the get dot all. Right now, so let me go ahead. The purpose we came to the custom setting is I wanted to exclude the user. I wanted to bypass the user. Right. So for this scenario, let me go ahead and create a new custom setting. Let me go here, custom settings, new. Let's create trigger access. Okay. Let's go ahead and create with a hierarchy. Let's say now what are the fields that I need? Just two checkboxes, like whichever the trigger I wanted to bypass. Okay, I have to give that trigger name. Now let's give the checkbox. Next. So which one we are doing it? Patient. So here allow patient trigger. Allow patient trigger. Always default value has to be unchecked. Right? And let's click on next. And let's click on save. Or I can say that instead of allocation trigger, what I can say is active. Okay, let's create the active. Say one field is enough for the trigger. Okay, if you want any other field, we can create it. That's not a worry. So let me click on manage. Okay, so manage. Now click on new. Now whenever I click on a new, the location by default it will give me the profile. But in case if I want user, either we can give in the profile, we can give the user, that should not be fine. So let's check the T1 and let's check the record. Okay, so I have created a record inside the custom setting. One record I created it. This owner. Okay. So let's keep it for understanding here instead of active and make it as a allocation trigger. So once we are clear with the concept, then I can make changes in that. So let's keep it as an allocation trigger. Will it allow me or not? So I change the field name. So what happened to my record? So this is my record. Let's click on view. Okay, that's good. This is the user allocation trigger. Right. If I want, I can create another user also. Let's click on new user. Let's take another user, which is a couple dev, and click on this allocation trigger. Now this is perfect. Let's go to the trigger. Okay. Now the first thing is that I do not need these all, right? I do not need these all. I need not to hard code that information. Only thing I wanted to check is the custom setting. So I can directly access the custom setting instead of map also. Like right now, what is my custom setting name? Trigger access, the API name. So trigger access and TA equal to just trigger access instead of get all. So what we did, get all is the one which we did it, which is going to store it into the map, right? Because this will have a string and the object record details. So this is going to store it into the map. But right now, I'm not interested to get all the records. I'm not interested to check for all the users. Whoever is logged in, only for that user, cross-verify whether the checkbox is true or not, right? So in that case, instead of going with the get all, what I can do is I wanted to check specific instance. So get instance, and what I'm looking for here, I'm looking for user info dot get user ID. Get user ID. So for that particular user ID, for example, T1 is logged in. So for that particular T1, go to the custom settings and check whether T1 has the record in the custom setting. If it is there, then cross verify the information whether it is checked or not. Right? I'll click on view. So the next thing is that I wanted to check whether this is a load for the what is setup is there for this user, right? So for what we cross-verified whether whoever is logged in, that user has a record in the custom setting or not. If the record is there, then what I wanted to check, I wanted to check ta dot what is my field API name? Allow patient trigger, right? Equal to true. If for this user this checkbox is true, then only allow to execute the logic. Whatever the logic is there, let them execute. Right. So now I'll go to the P10 here. No @email.com is there. Now what I'll do, I'll try to make changes. Save. So what it will give? If it is not equal to, right? Okay. So now if I'm trying to change this to something else, now it is going to throw an error saying that you cannot edit it. Because for my user, this trigger has an active checkbox. In case if I wanted to bypass the validation, then I can simply go to the custom setting, click on a manage, and click for the user that I am looking for. Click on edit, uncheck the allow patient trigger. That means go ahead and bypass the validation for this user. If I click on here, save, so it is going to save me. And along with the checkbox, in case if you wanted to make any other changes, right now what we are doing is we are just checking the checkbox is true or not. But along with that, if you have any other field, if ta.salary is greater than 50,000, then only go ahead and execute this logic. So you can cross verify all of those. For the salary thing, what you have to do is you have to go to the custom setting and go to the specific custom setting and create another field called salary here. And click on the manage. Once the field is created, go to the record and edit it and enter the manage, enter the salary information. Right? That's how we can deactivate the triggers in the production. So is that clear or shall I repeat it? Any questions? Any questions on the deactivating trigger? If you are in the developer console or dev org, if you are in the dev org, and if you wanted to deactivate it, in case if you want to deactivate it, we have an option to deactivate it directly in the dev. I go to the trigger, you will see there is a checkbox called status or okay, the pick list value. Let's edit this. Okay, here is a checkbox is active. If I uncheck, the trigger will not run for anybody. But in the production, when we go to the production, you will not see this is active, you will not see. Is active, the checkbox you will not see in the production. So in those scenario, it is very good practice to implement the custom setting. And before executing the actual logic, check whether that custom setting flag is true or not. So in that way, we can have, for example, if I'm doing the data loader, I'm pushing the 10,000 records into the patient object in the production. When I'm inserting the patient's record, I do not want to execute the trigger. Let's switch off the trigger. So how can we do that? Using the custom settings, you can switch off the flag. So this is the flag which is going to handle your logic. So custom setting is the one where the key will be there for the whether trigger should run or not, everything is handled here in the custom settings. Any questions? Now let's see when to use which context variable in which scenario. When to use which context variable in which scenario. So for example, in trigger, okay, we have trigger.new map trigger.old map, right? And what are the events that we have? Events are, let's say we have insert DML or insert, right? And then update, insert, update, delete. Next one is undelete. Next one is undelete. Okay. So inside this insert, we have a before insert, after insert, and before update, after update, before delete, after delete, before, after. Fine. Let's keep the color. Update, delete, undelete. Okay. And here for the trigger.new, how the data is stored in the trigger.new in the list format, list of S object, list of S object. Guys, can you go on mute? List of S object. And trigger.new map, how the data is going to store? Data will be stored in the map of ID comma S object. ID comma S object. And how about the trigger.old? Trigger.old is list of S object. And the old map will be available in the map of ID comma S object. Map of ID comma S object. Right? Now let's go ahead, like which are the events, what are the triggers that are available, or can I use it? Let's understand this, because we have to be very clear which one should I use in which scenario. Okay, so for that, let's go ahead and create a one sample trigger. File, new, let's create a trigger. Let's say is trigger on. Let's create it on contact. Okay, so S object is contact. Let's submit. Fine. So let's see the list of contact and equal to trigger dot new list map of ID comma contact, right, and map equal to trigger dot new map. Now next one is list of contact, which is the old, equal to trigger dot old. Now next map of ID comma contact. Here I am trying to get the old information, equal to trigger dot old map. Now perfect. Let's go ahead and print all this information. System dot debug trigger dot new. I need 4 new map, old map. So here let's print n, and this is a new map, which is n map. This is trigger dot old. Let's go ahead and print on O, and this is a old map. Let's print the O map. This is just to understand what is the data that comes out whenever I do the different events. So before that, let me go to the Salesforce custom object contact. Let's see, is there any other triggers that contact has? Contact triggers, there is already send email contact. So let me go ahead and switch off that. Edit, switch off, save. Perfect. So only one contact, which is active. Okay. So what I'm doing right now, my event is before insert, right? What are we trying to understand? The first one. This part we are trying to see if I use trigger.new, what is the output I'm going to get? If I use trigger.new map, what is the output I'm going to get? If I use trigger.old, what is the output I'm going to get? If I use trigger.old map, what is the output that I'm going to use? Okay, so let's go ahead and create a one contact. Contact new David Bruce. Okay, so is there any other information? No. Let's click on save. On click on save, my trigger should get executed. So let's click on, it is not the one. Yes. 6.39. I guess this is the one. Okay. See, in the before insert, I'm using the new map, old map. But where is the data that actually comes in? It comes in only in the trigger.new. Trigger.new map, the data will be none. Trigger.old, it will be none. Trigger.old map, it is none. So that means if I use before insert with the trigger.new, then I can get the information. Then I can get the information. When it comes to the new map, old map, no, I'll not get the information. There is no value within this. So I cannot use trigger.new map, old map within the before. Now let me go ahead and see for after. after insert. Debug clear. Let's create another contact, or I can just clone this right here. Let's say David 123, this 123, save. So in the after insert, I'll be having the information in trigger.new and trigger.new map. But where is the difference between the new and new map? Trigger.new map will always have a ID comma contact record. Whereas in the trigger.new, it is only the contact. It is only the contact info. It starts with the contact and the IDs it is going to start. But here in the new map, you will have a separate ID equal to contact record, entire record. So I will have the information in trigger.new and trigger.new map. So these two I can use it in the whenever I'm doing the event after insert. Trigger.old, no, it will not be available. Now coming to the update. Before update. Right, let's say debug clear. Now let me go ahead and update some information here. Any pick list value here. Right, lead source. Let's put the web. So the contact is updated. Here is the record that created. And let's see the debug. So before update, the data will be there in trigger.new, new map, old map. Right? So everybody has the information. Trigger.new, new map will have the latest information. When it comes to trigger.old, we'll have the old information. So let me copy and show that. What did we modify? Lead source, right? Where is the lead source? Did it came or not? No, it did not come. Or I can see what are the information here. First name, it is getting it right. So let me do it again. So I'm changing the name from David 456. Save. Now let's see that debug 12.7 debug. See here, trigger.new, new map will have the first name is David 456. When it comes to trigger.old and old map, will have the 123, David 123, David 123, right? Whereas in the new map and new has the latest information, right? So let's go ahead and see with the after. So after update also we'll have the, I'm updating 1, 2, 3 rows 4, 5, 6. After we'll also have all the information trigger.new and trigger.old. It's taking a lot of time. Okay. So now is it 12? Okay. So debug. See rows 4, 5, 6, rows 4, 5, 6, which is on the new. When it comes to the old 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it holds the old information. So basically before update, after update, I can use all the information. Now coming to the delete. Before delete. Let's say debug clear log. Right. So now I'm going to delete the David 456, rows 456. Let's delete it. It's deleted successfully. So when I'm deleting the before delete, So on the delete, the new information, I'll not have any new information. So it always capture the data in the old. That is, before deleting it, this was the old information. There is no new information on that. So ultimately it will not have a new information. So old will have the old values. So that means it holds the, whatever the old values are there, it holds the old values. And coming to the after delete, let's say I have anything. So David Bruce, another one is there. So let's go ahead and delete this. His trigger is saved. Yes. Delete. So after delete, how the after delete behaves, what are the events that I can use? Same. Before delete, after delete, we have the old information that is deleted and new information I cannot have. Now coming to undelete. Okay. So undelete, do we have a before? If I write a before, what will happen? If I write a before, what will happen? It is going to throw an error saying that there is no before undelete. Before undelete is not supported. Before undelete is not supported. So this entire thing goes into the red. Now coming to the after delete, after undelete. Let's say after undelete, let's go back to the Salesforce. Now click on recycle bin. That is, here it is the recycle bin. Okay, so let's put the David Bruce back, restore. When I did the restore, what are the information it gave? New and new map. There is no old value. New and new map will contain the information. There is no old value. So what is the value in the new map? What is the values will be there in the new map? It's not actually a new data. I'm just restoring the record from the recycle bin, but it does not have any new data there. Basically, it contains the old data itself. It contains the old data, but it's stored in the new map. So this is the one. So tomorrow in the interview question, somebody will ask, can I use trigger.old and trigger.old map in after undelete? Or can I use trigger.old and old map in after insert? So they will ask, why cannot I use? Because it is already inserted there. It doesn't give the information. There is no old value for the after insert. Clear? Any questions so far, whatever we have discussed in the class? Okay then, yeah. Thank you all. We'll meet tomorrow.